President Obama's executive amnesty is astonishing, and it's dangerous. You know, 6 weeks ago we had an election, and as the President rightly noted, his policies were on the ballot all over the country. We had a referendum on amnesty, and the American people overwhelmingly said, no, we don't want amnesty. We want to respect the rule of law. We welcome, we embrace legal immigrants, those who follow the rules and come here seeking a better life, but we don't support amnesty. And then what the President's done is really remarkable. He came out of the election, not chastened that the American people have repudiated his agenda, but instead angry and defiant, and disregarding the views of the American people. Now listen, amnesty for 5 million people who are here illegally is, number one, unfair. It's unfair to the millions of legal immigrants who follow the rules. It's, number two, unfair to the 92 million working-age Americans right now who aren't working. We've got the lowest labor force participation since 1978, and the Obama administration, instead of fighting for jobs for people who are out of work, is printing up work authorizations directly contrary to federal law to 5 million people who are here illegally. And number three, it is particularly harmful in the African American community. The African American community is facing historic levels of unemployment, and unfortunately this administration is not acting to create an environment for economic growth. Instead, it's issuing work authorizations for people here illegally. But I'll tell you, Javier, even more dangerous than the underlying substance of the amnesty is how this was done. The President's executive amnesty is flat out lawless. It is unconstitutional. There's nothing in the Constitution that gives the President the authority to ignore federal law, to unilaterally change it. You know, actually I think nothing summed it up better than the opening skit of Saturday Night Live, right after this was announced, where they had, you remember Schoolhouse Rock? Where they had, you know, how a bill becomes a law? And it started with the bill coming up saying, I pass the House, I go to the Senate, and if I'm lucky, it gets signed by the President and become a law. And what happens? President Obama walks out to the steps of the Capitol and pushes the bill down the steps.
Like 4 times.
4 times. And out steps an executive order sitting there just smoking a cigarette and says, yeah, I'm an executive order. I just happened. And look, what's amazing, Saturday Night Live had it exactly right. And this is dangerous. Listen, if the President of the United States can ignore federal immigration law, can rewrite it, we are undermining the constitutional protections of this country, and that's not theoretical. I mean, 2 centuries ago, the framers of this country fought a revolution against a monarchy. We've seen when one individual has unlimited authority to make the law, to change the law unilaterally, that's called a monarchy. I mean, it is a system of government. There are nations on earth today that have monarchies. Our nation was founded when we fought a revolution against a monarchy. And the Constitution was written because we didn't want the President to have the authority to just decree what law was. We wanted the President to follow the Schoolhouse Rock procedure, to go through the House, through the Senate, through... Now, part of it is to do that takes compromise. And this President doesn't compromise. He doesn't believe in it. He decrees what he wants, and if the American people don't simply roll over and give it to him, then he's trying to decree it unilaterally. And if this President can do that, there's nothing to stop the next President from using the same prosecutorial discretion to refuse to enforce our tax laws or our labor laws or our environmental laws. And in my view, in face of what the President is doing, we're facing a constitutional crisis. And it is incumbent on Congress to stand up and use every constitutional check and balance we have, every constitutional authority to rein in an out-of-control executive. You know, the framers in the Federalist Papers talked about the danger of an out-of-control executive. And the 2 most important that we should use are, number 1, the incoming Senate Majority Leader should use the nomination and confirmation power and should say that in the 114th Congress, not a single presidential appointee will be confirmed, executive or judicial, other than for vital national security positions, unless and until the President stops this illegal amnesty. That is a direct constitutional power given the Senate. It's meant to be a check on executive authority. and the incoming Senate Majority Leader should use it. And then second, we should use the power of the purse. The most powerful check the Constitution gives Congress is the power over money. And we should fund the vast majority of the federal government. Nobody wants a government shutdown. But we should use the power of the purse on funding for the Department of Homeland Security to say no money being appropriated by Congress shall be used for implementing illegal executive amnesty. That's what we should do, and I hope very much we see Republicans stand up and do exactly that.